Welcome, Sagittarius, to your month ahead spread for the month of November 2015. This reading is for you if your sun, moon, or rising signs are in the sign of Sagittarius. I'm going to go ahead and start shuffling here. Now, the purpose of this shuffle is to allow the appropriate cards for you, Sagittarius, to come up to the top of the deck. Of course, I've already shuffled quite extensively between each video for each sign, just to make sure all the cards are really mixed up well. So I'm just allowing the cards for you to come up to the top of my deck here. Sometimes I'll hear something, sometimes I'll just kind of know, sometimes I'll see something. Okay, so the first card here is how you're feeling heading into this month. So what are you bringing forth with you for the month of October into this new month? And how do you feel about moving into the energy of November? Now we have the Three of Swords. Some of you may have gone through some sort of breakup in this past month. Some of you may have just cut some people out of your life who really meant a lot to you, but you knew it was time to let them go. For some of you, this might simply be old habits, old patterns. Maybe there are things and patterns really and habits that you've had in your life for a long time, and you've known that it's time to cut them out. You know that it's time to let them go. And you haven't really wanted to. You've either been in denial or you don't really, it's just easier to stay in that old energy. And I feel like this past month, and especially as we head into November, you're really kind of looking at yourself and you're saying, okay, it's time to, it's time. It's time to leave this old energy behind. It's time to stop these old patterns, these old habits. They aren't serving me anymore. It's time. And you're cutting these things out. Whenever I see swords, I think about what needs to be cut out of our lives. So for you, I think these are things that have to do with your heart center, definitely. Things that bring you love, or things that you think bring you love. I don't think these are things that necessarily bring you real unconditional love. I think these were maybe things that you were using as substitutes for love. And you are starting to realize that they were just substitutes, that they weren't things that were really bringing that love and compassion and kindness to you and to your heart. So you're starting to cut these things out, and it's definitely an emotional process, and it can be slightly draining process at sometimes, but you've started, and it's going to bring so much beautiful things into your life, because when you cut out this old energy, when you really get rid of it, when you recognize it for what it is, you make the conscious decision to move past it, you get rid of that old energy, and now you have this void that can be filled with new energy, new blessings, and new beautiful prosperity that can come into you. Card number 2 is your general forecast for the month ahead. So your general forecast, Sagittarius, for the month of November. We have the moon. You're really going to continue this idea of looking at yourself, examining yourself, and seeing what negative patterns or what things in your shadow that you can let go of or that you can move through. Now, the shadow is everything that our ego says, this is not a part of who I am. This is not a part of my identity. Whether you believe it's not acceptable or whether your society does not believe it's acceptable, you've pushed these things down. You suppress them into your unconscious. Well, I think you, Sagittarius, in this month of November, you're going to start bringing those things back to consciousness. You're going to start reevaluating why you've suppressed these things. Why have you rejected these things about yourself? Why have you pushed them away? And you're going to start letting them come back up to your consciousness. And once you're conscious of them, you're able to really sort through them and consciously make the decision whether to keep them a part of your energy or whether to let go. So I think you're definitely going to continue working with this kind of energy of, does this serve me or does it need to be cut out? Is this something I want to hold on to, or is it time to let it go? The moon is also a very intuitive card, and I feel like for you, this is how you will know if whatever issue you're working with, if it's something that you want to, or that your higher self wants to hold on to, or if it's time to let it go. So checking in with yourself, you can even just pose the question to yourself, is this for my highest and best? And here, if you say yes or no, if your intuition says yes or no, and that'll help guide you through this process. Card number 3 is your upcoming challenges. So these are your upcoming challenges for the month ahead. And we have the Two of Swords, more decision making. This card is really talking about being caught in a hard place, between a hard place and a rock. I think that's the expression. But it's really you in this situation that's keeping yourself caught. The woman is blindfolded. Her arms are crossed with 2 swords. They're probably quite heavy. So she's kind of stuck there holding these swords. She can't see. She's blindfolded. This card really represents refusing to see the things that are around us, really being in denial. So this is your challenge. I think that as you kind of work through this energy with yourself of reevaluating these negative habits that I think they're really ingrained inside of you. So they're probably things that have developed during childhood, and they're things that you have indulged in your entire life. And they're things that you've wanted to be blind. You've wanted to stay like this figure on this card. And I think that inside of you, your ego still wants to stay like this. It wants to be in denial. So your challenge is to put down the swords, take off the blindfold. You can see here, the woman's shoes are yellow. So you have the power to walk away. You have the power to walk away and make different decisions. So keep that in mind when you hear your ego say, no, I wanna, keep being in denial of my issues. I want to turn the other cheek. I don't want to admit that this is going on. When you hear that ego voice inside of you, when you hear that part of you that wants to stay in negativity and pain, remember that you're wearing the yellow shoes. You have the power to walk away. You have the power to make different decisions. But it's really up to you if you get up off this chair and you do walk away, or if you stay there holding those heavy swords and causing yourself more pain. Card number 4 is your good fortune, blessings, and abundance. So this is all the beautiful things coming your way in the month of November. And we have the 4 of Swords. You're going to take a lot of time to rest and maybe even meditate. And I think this is very important for you. You really have some hard decisions to make this month. And when I say hard, I don't necessarily mean that they are like difficult ethical decisions, but more that they're decisions about letting go of parts of you and parts of your ego that you have kept with you for so long. And that is going to take a lot of energy for you. But the blessing here is that you really do need this rest. You really do need the opportunity to recharge your batteries. So when you find yourself being tired, listen to that. That is your body sending you a message. I need to rest. So following that, take midday naps. Take just 10 minutes to close your eyes if you need to. Meditate. Really get in touch with your body and the messages that it's sending you so that you can use that knowledge as you work through these issues with yourself and with your mental with your mind. I feel like the things that you're letting go of are more on the mental layer. They're like thought patterns, things that are going through your head. Because your thoughts really do create your reality, and I think that is a bit of what you're learning right now. Like, oh, if I keep thinking that, I'm going to keep acting this certain way. So you're really going back to the thoughts, where it really starts, and you're reevaluating those, and you're making the conscious decision whether to let go of these things or whether to hold on to them. And yes, this will take a lot out of you. It does affect your physical body as well. So giving yourself that time to rest is really, really important and really a blessing too, because it'll allow you to do this work that you want to do on yourself. Card number 5 is this month's lessons. I'm really big on lessons. I really think that every situation that we're in, every experience that we have, there's something to learn from it. So what are your lessons, Sagittarius, as you go through the month of November? We have the Death card. Your lessons are all about letting things die and being reborn. And this is definitely connected to what we were talking about here in the beginning of your spread. These thoughts, these habits, these patterns that you've had, your lesson is making the conscious decision to let them die, letting them go so that you can bring that new energy in. Really just having that whole rebirth process. Once you get rid of those negative patterns and habits and beliefs, you can create new ones. And that's really where we have that energy of transformation, of rebirth. You're really this white horse coming up from, there is quite a lot of death here on the ground, and it's been hard. It's not going to be a necessarily easy process. You've seen some horrible things. You've experienced some horrible things, but it's time. You've been through enough. It's time to move into the light and into a more compassionate and loving energy. And that's really the lesson for you. You are in charge of this white horse, and you're in charge of where it goes and where it travels. Remember that you're in control here, and that you can make the conscious decisions about what happens to you and what happens to your thoughts, and what beliefs you choose to believe. So this concludes your reading for November 2015. If you're interested in a personalized reading, you can find the link to my Etsy shop in the description below.